as you can hear, has done a bit of research, and he is a self-confessed formation aerobatic nerd.
I am.
So he knows these knows these display routines very, very well. So hopefully providing a little bit of context for us.
Yeah. And we're about to see the formation split into 3 elements: a 5-ship, a 4-ship, and a solo. And the 5-ship now converging on each other for the first of several spectacular 9-aircraft crossovers. And now they pull up into opposing loops once again in 2 line astern formations, and they're going to rejoin on the exit of this loop. I hope this comes across on the stream, the speed of the Frecce Tricolori's rejoins. These 2 groups often splitting apart and then joining back up with each other by the end of the manoeuvre, as they have done just there. But now from the left we have the soloist coming in for his first manoeuvre, which will be a 4-point hesitation roll. We're seeing plenty of manoeuvres from the soloist over the next 20 minutes or so. No synchro pair with the Frecce, it's all down to the solo. And the main formation have been using that time to reposition. They're coming in from the right. And we'll be seeing another of those big formation shapes. This is diamond formation. And you'll get a lovely view of how these straight wings really do give a lot of structure to this shape. Looking for the soloist to arrive now for an inverted pass, which is from the right. And as he departs to the left, the main formation also coming in from the left for a very famous Frecce Tricolori manoeuvre. Of course, over the weekend you'll have the Frecce Tricolori's real commentator talking you through this in his famously flamboyant style, and I'm sure he can give you a lot more information about all of these manoeuvres. We are not airshow commentators at all. But this is another of those moves where you'll see at the end the formation split apart into 2 groups and then rejoin again very quickly. Simultaneous aileron rolls there from the aircraft on the outside of the formation, and now the 2 groups separating. And they exit to the front and very swiftly rejoin in a single formation as we look out for the soloist once again with a triple aileron roll. Arriving from the left in that massive cloud of smoke, you might just about be able to make it out there. They do produce an awful lot of smoke, fantastic smoke generators. And the main formation, having rejoined properly, will now arrive from directly in front of us. And this is a manoeuvre that involves all 10 aircraft. The 9 in front of us will pitch up into the vertical, Oh no, they won't. They'll split apart now, sorry. They'll cross each other as the two groups pitch up into the vertical in what will start out as opposing loops, and then you'll see they draw the shape of a heart in the sky. The only team in the world to draw the heart from bottom to top rather than from top to bottom. I said, didn't I, that this would involve all 10 aircraft? Well, here comes the 10th from the right, passing across the heart with some aileron rolls. Meanwhile, the two groups that just drew that heart approach from the left and the right, the coloured smoke, will come on as they cross each other for another of those famous 4 versus 5 crosses that the Frecce perform. Here comes the soloist from the left now. And he's going to do a very uncomfortable manoeuvre, pushing -G, -3G. All the blood rushing to his head. For a full 360-degree Schneider turn, so sustaining this -G for a very long period of time. My apologies, +G Schneider turn and a -G push afterwards. As I said, we are not proper commentators. There's the -G push. Knew there was some -G in there somewhere. And now the main formation approaches from the right. We're going to see some rollbacks, much like we did from the Black Eagles earlier, but a very different style of rollback. And then, having completed the rollback, they will pull up into a loop. I think so, yes.
You'll have to excuse me hunting for cool slow-mo shots, ladies and gents. I'll stop going on about it in a bit, but it's one of the focuses for me on the telephoto camera during these rehearsals is picking up some nice tight-in slow-mo shots.
Soloist diving in from the right now. And this will be for a slow aileron roll down the show line.
Strong smell of the smoke drifting over us at the moment.
Yes. And it is getting to the point where it's affecting the visibility a little bit. There aren't many teams where you smell the smoke in this way.
Yeah, the on-crowd wind helping. Different, I must use a different dye to the red arrows. That's a different smell. I don't suppose it's doing me. Yeah. Nice in from the left.
Yeah, 9-chip barrel roll. Well, we were talking about barrel rolls versus aileron rolls yesterday. You can really see the shape of that barrel in this barrel roll. And we finally are onto that -G Schneider turn, coming from in front of us from the soloist, just to the left of show centre. And a very hard push. uncomfortable, and I bet it feels more uncomfortable than it looks. Main formation straight in front of us now. They will be in a triangular formation. They'll pull up into a loop, and then on the down line of that loop they're going to split into those two sections once again. The soloist you might also see in the background, he's diving in behind them because he shall also be involved in this manoeuvre. Soloist has now departed, clearing the way for the 4-ship and the 5-ship to perform another crossover. But we shall be seeing the soloist again in a moment for a very famous Frecce Tricolori manoeuvre indeed. The soloist arrives from the centre. He's low above the trees but pulling vertical with the smoke coming on, and he will hold that vertical climb with the airspeed bleeding away to 0 until he stops mid-air and falls back through his own smoke. We saw the Royal Jordanian Falcons validate yesterday. We'll see them and the Blades in purpose-built aerobatic aircraft over the course of the weekend. This is the sort of manoeuvre we'd expect from them. Wow, holding that backward tail slide for a very long time indeed. One of the very few pure jet aircraft that can do that. Now, main formation coming in from the front for the newest manoeuvre to be added to the Frecce Tricolori display, added in 2015. And this is the tricolour Sparks, a spectacular bomb burst added to mark the team's 55th anniversary. From the centre. And if you thought that tail slide a moment ago was spectacular, then just wait until you see what he's about to do now.
Be able to follow this one, having adjusted my tripod slightly. Some of the higher manoeuvres that we haven't quite got ourselves ready for. This will be a Lobstervac, will it?
It will indeed be a Lobstervac. Lobstervac is, well, do you know what Lobstervac is the Czech word for?
It's a headache, isn't it?
Yes, headache or hangover.
Never actually put that to my Czech friends. I need to check the particular Czech friend who would provide a very exact translation. Headache or hangover, okay. Yeah, it certainly looks like it might give you one.
Main formation now coming in from the right. It'll be interesting to see what they do here, because there's a couple of manoeuvres that they usually fly at this point that they practiced at Riyadh on 2018, but then they haven't flown at the show since then. I think they couldn't quite make them work within the showground layout and the UK regulations, but we'll see some rollbacks and then we'll find out whether or not they pull up into a loop afterwards.
I got him. So some rollbacks. Stop going on about the slow-mo at some point, but that one's going to be a good one with the jet in the background too.
departing. We're not seeing that next manoeuvre. Instead, the soloist is arriving from the right for some dirty barrel rolls. That's nice, showing some flexibility there, because normally that's 2 dirty barrel rolls, but obviously it's a very long crowd line here, so... Did I count 4 or 5? So lovely to see them adapting to the venue a little bit.
So how long do I have to wait before the crazy flying? That's got to be coming up, isn't it?
Manoeuvre after this one. And thus the crazy flying begins from the left 45. Extraordinary pitch rate. Final manoeuvre coming up in just a moment. That famous 9v1 cross with the Italian flag, certified I think as the longest Italian flag in the world. I don't know how they would go about measuring such a record. But one thing about the Frecce, I mentioned earlier, this is the newest manoeuvre at one point. It was developed in 2015. You might think that's a bit odd. The Reds change up their routine every year. But the Frecce have very slow pilot turnover. You might stay with the Frecce for 5 or 10 years. The display routine barely changes, and that is what makes this incredibly tight choreography possible, especially these splits and rejoins. Almost every other manoeuvre, the 9 ship is splitting into a 4 and a 5 and then rejoining again. And that is possible because everyone is so well trained and well practiced on this routine. We're missing some Pavarotti here.
Please don't, Helen, please.
If we can get on the wide shot, perhaps, this massive band of smoke that's floating over the top of us, that's quite a sight. Lovely way to end the show. This smoke drifting over us is quite surreal. And if we're lucky, we'll get a formation landing. Not quite like...
Spanish?
Yeah. But they land all 7 together, and I think we get 2 groups with the Frecce. 2 groups of 5.
Wheels are down, it looks like that's exactly what we're going to get. It's like you've seen them before, ladies and gents. Well, you can't wish for much more than those kinds of conditions for a big jet formation team. Maybe, you know, I'm being picky. I'd love a bit of extra light on that final flourish of the display there. It was the airfield currently shadowed by a cloud, but What a
But
sight.
it's good to have some of these clouds because the backdrop at the moment is just lovely.
Yeah, it gives it's one of the things we often find ourselves talking about is a bit of contrast in the sky, some dark, some light, some blue, some white. Gives you that contrast behind the aircraft, gives you that sense of speed.
Well, while they come in, I'm going to have a quick glance at the schedule, see if I can decipher any of the upcoming movements. The arrival of the Slovenian PC-9s.
You can see the effects of the smoke trails the aircraft have left over the airfield there, barely see them. You start questioning whether you're in focus or not, or is it just the smoke? Andy says I'm looking good on the talkback system I'm on. Thank you, Andy. That's in the face. Well, my belly tells me it must be lunchtime, is it?
I'm starting to think the same. First lunchtime anyway. I'll have another lunch at 2 and another lunch at 3 and another lunch at 4 if that's okay.
Yeah, if we manage it. These are challenging days. This will be a 10-hour live broadcast we're doing today. A team of 6 involved. And the idea is we're running 2-hour shifts on camera. Doesn't always work out that way, but we do try, particularly in these sunny conditions, where it's difficult to keep hydrated and shaded from the sun.